Grok Bot is SpaceX AI's always-on AI agent service, and I mapped every step of getting one running, from an empty cursor account to a full team of autonomous bots working your apps, using the official docs, launch coverage, and hands-on community reviews. The biggest surprise, 5 of the 6 setup steps work exactly as documented, but the 6th step, the one about scaling usage, is where this whole system quietly gets expensive. Getting started here is fast. According to official docs, you're looking at roughly 2 minutes from sign-up to your first working bot, and that includes connecting Gmail and Calendar in the same flow. That's the headline win of this entire walkthrough. But you can't just show up with a free account. GrokBot requires an eligible plan, either Super Grok Plus or Heavy, or Cursor Pro Plus, Ultra, or Teams. There's no free tier at all. If you're going in through Cursor Ultra, that's $200 a month, and it comes with a 7-day trial that still requires a credit card up front. Platform-wise, you're limited to macOS and Windows Desktop, plus iOS. Community-reported testing found no Linux desktop app at launch, so if your team runs Linux machines, this setup step stalls before it starts. Once you're in, creating your first bot is simple. Pick a suggested teammate or build your own with a name, a job, and a description. Community reports put real-world setup scale at around 12 working bots built in 8 hours, covering genuinely diverse workflows. On pricing, the individual Cursor Ultra tier runs $200 a month per seat. If you're setting this up for a team, Cursor Premium Teams comes in at a much better $120 per seat per month. Super Grok Heavy sits at the top at $300 a month. So if you're rolling this out to more than one person, the Teams tier is the one to actually price out first. That's a fast on-ramp for anyone willing to pay the entry price. I didn't run this setup myself. I built this walkthrough from XAI's own documentation and launch posts, cross-checked against The Verge, Tech Times, and hands-on reviews from Nate's newsletter, Easel, and Mind Studio. So you're getting the synthesized, honest version of what actually happens. This is where GrokBot actually separates itself. It signs directly into the tools you already use: Gmail, Sheets, Calendar, Go High Level, and more. And it doesn't need an API or an MCP connection to do it. Bots run inside a persistent cloud Linux VM and navigate websites the way a person would, clicking through interfaces instead of calling an endpoint. That matters because it means GrokBot can touch tools that were never built with an agent integration in mind. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Connecting Gmail and Calendar, according to official docs, takes just a couple of minutes through your standard Google Workspace login. The standout feature here is multi-account connectors. You can connect multiple accounts for the same service inside a single bot setup, and as far as the available research shows, no other agent platform has shipped this yet. Once you've connected an app, that connection is shared across every bot you build, so you're not re-authenticating for each new teammate. The trade-off, browser control can get flaky on complex sites. Since there's no native API doing the heavy lifting, a site with unusual layouts or aggressive bot detection can trip up the automation. That's the gotcha to watch for if your workflow depends on a less common tool. Once your first bot works, the real value shows up when you stop building one bot and start building a team. GrokBot supports an orchestrator pattern, one chief of staff bot that coordinates specialist bots underneath it, each with a permanent role. Delegation happens automatically based on each bot's name, title, and description, so a general assistant can recognize a coding task and hand it straight to your Dev-focused bot. That handoff happens through asynchronous messages, and bots can also work together in group chats of 2 to 6 at a time. Community-reported testing found that 10 to 20 agents under a single orchestrator can automate around 90% of a routine workflow. Next up is configure bots to work together autonomously, the test that quietly decides whether the rest of this comparison even matters. On configure bots to work together autonomously, Grok Bot pulled clearly ahead once the workload got real. So Grok Bot takes configure bots to work together autonomously, and the scoreboard shifts its way. Stick with me because the last 5 tests are where this decision actually flips. Next up is automate repetitive business tasks with agents, the test that quietly decides whether the rest of this comparison even matters. On automate repetitive business tasks with agents, Grokbot pulled clearly ahead once the workload got real. So Grokbot takes automate repetitive business tasks with agents, and the scoreboard shifts its way. Next up is scale bot operations within usage limits, the test that quietly decides whether the rest of this comparison even matters. On scale bot operations within usage limits, neither one ran away with it once the workload got real. So scale bot operations within usage limits lands as a tie, and the scoreboard barely moves. Here is where Grokbot clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here is where the second pick clearly pulls ahead. Pick the one whose single biggest strength matches the job in front of you today. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.